Hello and welcome to Lounge of Legends, episode 2. This is going to be the top 5 players at Worlds 2015.
Yes.
Today I have joining me on the show, as always, my co host, Oliver Sandell, the legend
What's
himself,
up, baby?
League of Silas on Twitter.
That's right.
We have Tim Thissen here. He's a writer for Gosu Gamers, and he's a member of the Lounge of Legends staff.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk about League of Legends and specifically the top 5 players at Worlds.
Yes. Recently, Riot has been doing their own comprehensive countdown of the top 20 players of World, so we figured we'd do our list of our own.
And if it's gonna be anything like last year's, I wouldn't be putting too much weight on it. Hashtag reckless better than imp and deft. So, you know, just putting that out there.
Yes. Okay. Let's just go straight into it then. So, we were thinking we're going to do the roles first, right? Let's do the
Yeah.
roles. Let's start on everyone's favorite role. The clear favorites, the number one role. Who are your favorite mid laners for this year, guys? Like, what is your top mid laner at Worlds right now? Just so we can get this out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And why do you think that? So for me, it's Faker. I think Faker is probably the best mid laner at Worlds right now. For a close second, I would say possibly Godv. I think he's very good as well. His Diana play is extremely strong, and he's got a lot of qualities that I don't see in just every single player. And so I think it's Faker for mid lane still. He's shown over and over again that he is extremely strong. He's proven people wrong every time they say, oh, maybe Faker's not so good anymore. Maybe Easy Hoon's better. All this stuff. Like he brings out Riven in the finals. He says, I don't care. Like, I'm just going to play whatever I want. Master Yi mid, Irelia mid. He can play basically any champion in the game. And he's shown extreme amounts of disgusting gameplay over his years. So what do you guys think?
Well, to me, like I completely agree with what you have to say, and I have Faker pegged in as my number one mid lane going into the tournament. And yeah, the thing with me is as well, like I really like Godvi. I think his play, especially his dynamic play, has been absolutely fantastic this year. But with Faker, a lot of it's his champion pool is just unbelievable. I mean, if you look at his play in some of the OGN games, even against top tier teams, it honestly, at the points of the game, it looks like he's smurfing in bronze because he's picking stuff like Mastery mid. He's picking like he sort of innovated the whole Irelia into Azir matchup. And then in finals, he goes on and he picks Riven into Cassiopeia. And then in the post-game interview, he says that I don't think Riven's even a viable pick competitively, the ultimate BM. So,
The ultimate.
and I think it's important if you look at
So what you're
if you
saying is that during the next week, Baker's going to play Bard mid.
very
I hope
possible,
so.
and he'll probably style in everyone. He'll probably style in H2K, but I think it's important to look back at sort of Spring Split because this isn't Spring Split this year was not Faker at his sort of finest form. I mean, Faker still played well, but back then, you had the whole sort of like Faker was splitting a lot of the time with Easy Hoon, and it's sort of even though people were hating on it, it sort of made sense just because like back then the mid lane was all about the farming style. The champs in meta were Ziggs, Azir, like Easy Hoon played Vladimir, all these sort of sustain like wave clear mids with a lot of sustained damage, which isn't really something Faker's known for. Faker's known for like more as an assassin style or making the flashy play, even though he can play those champs. But Easy Hoon was very, very proficient on those champs, and people made a lot of excuses from MSI saying that maybe SKT would have won if they played Faker all of the 5 games. But again, I don't think it necessarily was sort of the worst idea playing Easy Hoon just because he had shown that he had a very good understanding of the meta at the time. But this split in summer, Faker has been absolutely on fire, and Koma has realized it, and Izun has not seen a lot of play this season. Faker has played most of the games, and most of the games Faker has done absolutely outstanding. I mean, if you look at some of the Master Yi games he played, at first he'd pick Master Yi's in comps where they had like Morgana, they had a lot of sort of AoE CC, and they had a lot of chain CC, where the idea was that Faker would come, they'd CC the enemy team, Faker would come and clean up the fights, which makes sense. Which is okay, fine. Yi not such a strong pick mid lane, definitely, but okay, in this case makes sort of sense. But in the end, he just blind pick Yi. He wouldn't give a damn. He just blind pick Yi. He's like, what are you gonna pick into me? I'm Faker. I'm God.
Yeah,
Like
he's
so. I think there are a lot of strong mid laners at this time. You have Godvi, you have Pawn, you have guys like Bjergsen, but I definitely think Faker is up and above, up and
is
above
kind of
everyone
above.
else.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's see, Tim. I
So
know that you may not necessarily think this.
yeah,
So
I'm gonna be the dividing factor here. I'm the one that's gonna get all the hate when I say I don't think Faker is a really good player on his own, but I'm looking at it as players that can do well with the rest of their team as well. And honestly, from VODs I've seen, I think the Chinese teams are just a bit better when it comes to working together as a unit and fighting it out. And from what I've seen, Godby, he can both scrap really well, and he's really good at correlating with his teams to pull off amazing plays. And so, and it's also hard to tell because LGD and SKT are not two teams that have ever gone against each other, so we don't really have
Mhm.
too much of a judging point here. But I think when it comes down to it, I think Godby is going to be able to put a good fight up against Faker and show that maybe China might become the new dominating region.
What
See,
do you think
I
about
kind
that,
of agree.
Andre?
I see your point, but then again, I don't agree with the fact where, I think Faker plays as like functions as well with the team as a unit, because I think the way SKT wins the game, like SKT as a team, like they're strong at team fighting, but they're definitely not the strongest team at team. There are a lot of teams internationally and even in Korea that are stronger team fighting teams than SKT, but early on in the early game and in the mid game, if SKT gets a sort of skirmishes where they're on 3v3, where they have Faker within the skirmishes, they come ahead 9 out of 10 times. They use their early and mid game skirmishes really well to put Faker ahead and then snowball it into a lead later on into the game. So in
Hmm.
that sense, I think sort of like, yeah, maybe last split and in the past, they might not have functioned as well as a team, but I think right now they're actually working a lot better than before. Also
I
because,
okay. Well, go
yeah, I
ahead. Go
was
ahead.
gonna say like also like something that buys into it, also like sort of Wolf's roaming style, and how Bengi supports, like Bengi's style has always been sort of like controlling vision and allowing for Faker to like being close to Faker, allowing for him to make the plays. So honestly, right now I don't think there's that sort of jungler mid combo in the world that I'm scared at if you're pegging, like if you're putting it up against SKT's Bengi and Faker.
Okay.
I think right now, if it's Faker and Bengi against any other mid jungler combo in the world, I think Faker and Bengi come out on top most of the time.
So
I,
I've act.
I I could definitely see that because while I think TBQ is a really strong jungle pick, I don't think he had much of a presence compared to others in the games they've played.
I'd agree. And I think TBQ has been slightly more inconsistent as well. Like TBQ, I don't think he's gotten a lot of hate at times as well, but I don't think he's been bad at all. He's been good, but if you look at sort of I think he gets outshined by a lot of the talent they have on their team because they're so stacked in general.
Hmm.
Okay. So I have a few comments for both of those things there.
Okay.
First off, I think Faker works extremely well with his team, and when I think um, of how SK Telecom has played out when they did play in the spring split and coming into the summer split, if you watched any of the games where Faker played Lulu, working with Bang,
Hmm.
how much
Yeah.
presence they had in team fights and how much freedom Bang had to actually carry the games because of how well Faker worked together with him.
Against CJ game 4. Oh my god.
He was disgustingly strong at
Yeah.
at making sure that they played the team fights correctly by putting Bang on those champions that he wants to play and being able to play these Juggernaut or Protect the Vayne comps, and also his interactions with Marin and how their whole synergy goes throughout their whole team with roaming and whatnot. I think Faker's always been strong at roaming. That's definitely been a strong point for him.
Yeah.
Like throughout his entire career. So I don't
agree.
necessarily agree that Faker doesn't work well with his team in comparison to Godv. And I think that a lot of the time, Korean teams, or SK Telecom in particular, has a lot of strength with working together as a team. Perhaps their team fights aren't as fleshed out because they don't team fight as much because they play a more defensive style. But I still think that as far as working with your teammates and working towards a win, I think Faker is extremely strong at that, and he's always been good at that on SK Telecom, right? Like he's always been a strong team player as far as that goes. But the difference is it's harder to see that when he's playing champions like LeBlanc and like Zed and like all these assassins where he's just whole solo carrying.
Although mid-meta has changed a lot. We're not nearly as in an assassin-heavy place as we were. Mid has become more of a support type thing with Orianna and Lulu picks being very common.
It is, but also assassins are sort of coming, or slightly coming back into the meta. When you talk about more like Cinderhawk junglers are slowly falling out.
Yeah,
we're moving out of sort of the tank meta more where like we have the sort of meta of we have sort of carry top laners, and we're back to like warrior junglers or runeglaive junglers that are squishy. So we have sort of assassins are starting to slightly creep back into play.
Yeah, it's in a fighter heavy meta with items like Dead Man's Plate and stuff being especially effective on top laners that let them get in and actually have a presence in fighting. And for junglers, it's in a weird place where a majority of the top jungle picks received a lot of nerfs. So right now it is more up to top laners to be a presence in team comps.
Yeah.
Okay. And so my other point was you were talking about mid lane jungle matchups that could go against SK Telecom, and there's one matchup that stood out to me a lot, and that's Rookie and Cacao.
Yeah.
So I think that they could definitely at least keep up with SKT based on how they play around each other.
Yeah.
Because Rookie is not really a bad player either.
No, not at all. Like, Rookie's a good player.
I'd probably say Cacao is a better jungler than Bengi.
Yeah.
And as far as working along camping mid lane or camping top lane, I think that's something to keep in consideration there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Yeah, but I still, it's like I still think because in that case, the way I'd look at it is Cacao, better jungler than Bengi, Faker, better mid laner than Brookie, but if considering they're both pretty evenly matched up, I still always take the team. If there's an even matchup, I'll always take the matchup with Faker because he has that X factor to him. He's that sort of like he's that superstar kind of player that can pull out. I mean, you don't have like a hashtag things Faker does for no reason.
Hashtag things Rookie does.
There's always gonna with Faker. There's always that chance that he pulls off a play out of nowhere just like that. That sort of flips the game on its head. So even though the matchup's even, I'll always take the matchup with Faker if it's even.
Yeah. And even then, because of the big meta shifts we've been seeing in the past few patches, we could be seeing a lot of new picks coming in, like Fiora mid, the return of Gangplank mid.
Gangplank mid, yeah. Faker's been spamming a lot of Gangplank mid. I mean, I thought Faker would have pulled out Gangplank mid in OGN finals already, but yeah.
They keep nerfing Gangplank, but he's still as strong where he needs to be.
Yeah, definitely.
Other choices like Lux have also been seeing returns because of her buffs.
I don't know about necessarily just putting Faker and Bengi above IG in the 2v2 just based on that. I would say that it is probably a champion dependent thing. For instance, if you get, if Faker's going TF and then Rookie goes Diana and Kakao gets Nidalee or Elise and then Bengi goes Nunu, like it's still like a huge champion deficiency there, right? Like in lane, Diana's should be TF.
No, I mean when I'm talking about it, I'm assuming the matchups are even. Like that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying. Like when it's even, I'll always take the matchup with Faker, just because he has the X factor.
Okay.
Obviously, I mean if you have Faker on sort of a weak laner and you have Bengi on a weak jungler, and then you have sort of a strong laner and Rookie and like a Lee Sin on Kakao. Obviously, it's going to be different, but I'm saying if the matchups are relatively even, I'll take the matchup with Faker.
Okay, sure. Tim, so what are your core reasons then? So you said that you thought that Godv plays better with his team than Faker does, and
also I haven't watched much of LCK recently, so maybe I'm a bit lacking here, but from what I've just seen, I think how do I put this? Overall, I just think Godv is better in a 1v1 situation, but I think Faker is better at roaming, so that could be a big part of it. But with the new meta shifts, anything can sort of happen.
Doesn't that sort of like go against the whole working with the team statement though?
I don't.
So
I guess when I said working with team, I meant in the way that China is better in team fighting, and Godby is always like sticking with someone in order to pull something off from what I've seen.
But I think the way I see it, I think China is better at sort of skirmishing, but but I don't necessarily think that China is better at picking the correct fights.
I agree with that.
I still think Korea is like at a much higher sort of strategic level of play. I think they're much better at picking their fights, knowing when to fight, but that's why sort of a lot of the time it's hard for Korean teams to fight against LPL teams. I imagine. I think the matchup's hard because
they will fight
the LPL teams will take LPL teams will often take fights at really illogical times. They'll take fights where they're not contesting an objective. They'll take a fight just for the sake of team fighting because their players are really mechanically gifted. So they think that if they can create a skirmish scenario where it's sort of it should be a 50-50 chance, they feel that they can come out ahead most of the time because of their individual mechanical talent. Whereas Korean teams, they'll fight when objectives are present on that. They'll force fights around dragons, around barons. They'll force fight for towers, but they won't fight just for the sake of fighting.
I think unless they have a very good opportunity to create a pick where they can they win a fight favorably.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like
you're thinking like just
forcing like 5v5s or 3v3s. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree with that for the most part. I think that China does do that. And
that is something I've noticed. They do love to initiate fights even when it may not even be a necessity.
Okay.
Should we move on to our next role?
Yes, let us go on. I will spin the wheel of the next lane. Since we were talking a bit about jungle mid, why don't we just go into jungle next then?
All right.
What do you and we'll start off with you, Ollie. What do you think your favorite jungler is for this Worlds?
I have Cacao. I actually don't think it's such a strong year for junglers. We don't have any sort of, or we have a sort of very limited amount of superstar junglers in this tournament. Compared to, like, last year we had guys like Dandy, we had Insect, sort of guys that have been legendary in this role. This year, I think
Spirit.
Cacao, yeah, I think this year Cacao is above everyone else, and I think it's mostly because of the synergy he has with the Rookie, because they work really well together. And the thing is, it always, yeah, if he works well with Rookie, that's when IG usually pulls off wins. But like Kakao is really strong in his own, but it's also like half of what makes him strong is how well he works with Rookie, their mid laner. And it's sort of sometimes it seems that when they're not sort of when Rookie is not on a champ that can make early plays, then Kakao tends to spend a lot of his time farming instead of ganking other lanes. But I still think that Kakao is sort of the best jungler overall in this tournament. I don't think, like, if you look at the top teams, because like the way I'm picking, I'm picking from a team that has a chance to do well at Worlds.
Right.
Even though like I don't think IG's gonna go that far, but I still think they have a chance to do well. Think they have a chance to win their group. But yeah, I think a lot of the top teams don't have very strong junglers. If you look at teams like SKT, I mean, Benki has been playing fantastic. I think I really like Benki, but I don't consider him to be like a top world jungler. If you look at LGD, TBQ, he plays well, he plays fine, but I don't think he's like, you know, top jungler
What
on a
about
world
Clear
scale.
Love though? Clear Love's really good.
I like Clear Love, but
And Score as
I don't
well.
know. Yeah, but okay. See, I like Clear Love. I think you can make a case for Clear Love maybe, but for Score, I think so much like such a big part of what makes Score good as a jungler is how well he works with Peekaboo.
Right.
I think like it's such a key component to his jungler. I think alone he doesn't make that much of a difference. It's more that Peekaboo calls for him to roam with him and gank lanes with him, and that's what makes it work.
Right, but
But
at the same time with Cacao, you're just saying that it's because he works so well with Rookie, right?
no,
But I understand
yeah,
where you're coming from
no,
because at
yeah,
the same time,
it's
Cacao
like
does create pressure
yeah, like
without Rookie.
yeah, it's like the thing is like I think Kakao and Rookie work extremely well together, but Kakao isn't extremely reliant on Rookie, whereas I think Score is extremely reliant on Peekaboo.
Okay.
I still think, yeah, like what I mean is I think IG has the largest chance or the biggest chance of winning games when Rookie and Kakao work well together. But IG can still win games even when Kakao is snowballing other lanes instead of Rookie. But I don't think KT has a good chance of winning games if Score and Peekaboo have sort of an off day, if their synergy is not on point.
Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's how I got it.
for uh, I chose Cacao as well for top jungler. But
Mhm.
my reasoning it wasn't just because of Rookie. I think Cacao works extremely well with top lane as well. Um, the way that he can apply pressure and get the mid and top ahead in this metagame, I think it's very efficient for
Yeah.
like the styles of play that people are doing. I think Clearlove could also be the best. Um, I definitely think that that's a possibility. And Clearlove
Mm.
is really good jungler. He's always been, if you look back, okay, over the years, he's always sort
Yeah.
of been that underrated jungler. No one's ever said, "Oh yeah, Clearlove is by far the best." Like over the past seasons, and I think this season that's where people were leaning towards. But then Cacao makes it to Worlds, and he has this like extremely strong run, and Score is looking quite good as well.
Yeah.
And I want Clearlove to finally get his spotlight where everyone can see like he's the best, right? However, I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen.
Mm.
So that's why I chose Cacao. I think Cacao works extremely well with. Here's the thing. Okay, I think it's Zitai, but I've heard a lot of casters in NA call him ZZ Tai.
Yeah, no, yeah.
It's
I think
Zitai,
it's
right?
Z-Tie. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
Zitai.
it's Z-Tie. Yeah.
So Cacao can get him. He can really push him ahead as well, and that's something I've noticed over
Yeah.
the games. It's not just the Cacao rookie show anymore. A lot of it is Zitai, and I think that's something that's very important coming into this meta because of all the Juggernaut changes and how the top lane's been recently with the teleport pressure being extremely potent in winning games. So I think the fact that they have the option to possibly get the top lane rolling, as well as mid lane, is definitely going to be something that puts them above a lot of teams here. So that's my choice for jungle as well. What about you, Tim? Or did you either of you have any comments to make on that, or disagreements, anything like that?
I agree with what you have to say. But yeah, go
I
ahead,
don't
Tim.
really have too. This is another point where I'm gonna be splitting up and saying I actually think Clear Love could be is probably the best jungler at the time for right now. I I haven't seen much of EDG recently, but from the matches I had been watching, Clear Love is really good at putting pressure against the enemy team on champions. Like I remember back when he was one of the earlier Evelyn players before she started to come back, and he was really good at placing pressure around the map with her invisibility and making it difficult for the enemy team to really get in. I'm sorry for struggling to come up with stuff here. I have not been keeping up with pro player recently.
Okay.
And I think with the shift of mid laners being pushed back a bit, I think Clearlove might step up. And also, Pawn has definitely been slumping lately. Everyone knows that because of his medical issues and such. So I think Clearlove might pick up the slack for the team and bring them ahead, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
So it's sort of a split then between Clearlove
Yeah.
and Cacao.
Basically, China has the monopoly on good junglers.
So we
right
have
now.
like the two rational people, and we have the LPL fanboy. So
Holy
Yeah.
I'm just trolling, but yeah. Like, do you guys have anything else to add in the jungle matchups?
Am I gonna be hated if I say that I think Reignover is actually one of the better junglers for this competition?
Yes, I will hate
No,
on you.
not
I will.
necessarily.
I will hate on you.
If you have
Yeah.
a good argument for why you think that, then you
I
can
think
go ahead.
Oliver just hates Fnatic.
I do hate Fnatic. Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I
it
hate them
comes
with a
out,
burning
boys.
passion. Yeah, I actually do.
Okay.
Well, Reignover is one of. I know EU as a whole is probably weaker. Like a lot of their teams were slacking this split, but I think Reignover is one of the better pressure junglers when it comes for team fighting. Like people remember when he played stuff like Rengar and Olaf, he was really good at just getting in there and pushing out against enemy teams. So yeah.
Okay.
See, okay, like, well, my problem is, okay, you say I hate Fnatic, and I do. Well, no, I don't hate Fnatic as a team. I hate Fnatic because of Fnatic's fan base, just because of that 1 5 game series with SKT, suddenly it's like it seems like all Fnatic fanboys on Reddit think that it's like, oh yeah, Fnatic has a realistic chance of making World Finals. Like, no. Like, Fnatic has sort of a 50-50 chance of winning their group. IG can easily win group if they show up. In terms of Reignover, I do like if you look back at especially when Rek'Sai was sort of more in the meta, but he has good games on Rek'Sai, and what I do like about him is it's like if he fails a gank early on, it doesn't necessarily tilt him, but he can go on and he can still sort of go on and make aggressive plays on lanes, which is good for a jungler. But I definitely wouldn't. I wouldn't put him sort of in the top conversation of top junglers at Worlds. I think a lot of what makes Reynor look good is just like how well his team is functioning because their lanes are so strong on their own. They don't necessarily need Reignover to win for them. And Reignover, I mean, I think from time to time Reignover still has like the games where sort of he's off and he doesn't make a lot of happen. And also Reina was one of those people where since his lanes are so strong, he doesn't draw any jungle bans against him. He generally tends to get his like fair share of junglers to pick from because people are too busy banning out Huni, Febib, and Reckless. So he generally gets to pick whoever he wants to play. So I think that's a really good advantage for him as well.
Okay.
That's my
Yeah.
opinion, but
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Who? Who?
All right.
So
Which
I don't
one?
hate him. I just don't think he's like world class. I think he's good. I think he's really good in terms of EU. I don't think he's world class.
Hmm. All right then.
Yeah.
okay. I think I will abstain from the Reignover world class conversation for now.
All right.
All right. Moving right on. Support. What do you guys think?
You want to go first, Tim?
This is one of those really harder ones to judge because in my eyes, support is not a role I keep it too much of an eye on. Because basically for the past while, supports have all been the same in terms of who gets played. If I think one really big one is I think uh, this is gonna sound annoying because like all my picks are from LPL, but I think
That's fine though. Yeah.
Mako is a really strong pick for support because
Hmm.
he always kept he always kept a good presence in the games that I've seen back when Annie or his Alistair plays were po- popular picks. I always that that was just one of the few support players that stood out to me. It support's one of those weird roles for me because I just don't pay much attention to it to really spot many good ones.
Okay.
Mm.
So for myself,
Hmm.
I'm sort of stuck in the middle. I'm on one hand, really I'm thinking Peekaboo's been looking so good,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, in my heart, Mata is always looming, but he's not at Worlds, so
Yeah.
let's
VC did not do very well.
well, rest in peace. Okay, so I think I'll probably go with Peekaboo. Wolf, I don't think he's been doing that great. In my mind,
Really?
ever since that MSI roaming game,
But I think he's
it's
picked it up
tainted.
since then.
It's still tainted my opinion of Wolf.
Fair enough.
I think that he is extremely good though, and that's totally a possibility.
Mm.
It could also be Mako, but
Mhm.
I don't know for sure. Support is a bit more up in the air. Like there's no outlier to me like with Faker
I
or
agree.
anything like that.
I agree.
There's a lot of room for supports, and I think a lot of the time support is, uh, a lot of it is dictated by AD carries as well. If you have a really shit tier AD that you have to play with all the time, it's going
Mhm.
to make it hard to look good on support, and vice versa, right?
Yeah.
So that's another role where, um, I'd actually probably look more into the duo bots as opposed to the individual players. Aside from roaming, picks, and warding, I think those are the three categories that define a individual support. Because
Hmm.
if you judge it based off purely laning, or if you judge laning above anything else, it's a lot more inconsistent as far as individual performance goes because it's reliant on another person. But as far as warding, when to ward, roaming, getting picks, getting picked themselves while trying to ward, and all those factors, as well as if they're a shot caller or not, I think that's a lot to do with individual play. And so that's where
Hmm.
I would look for the support.
Hmm.
So I honestly don't have a clear favorite for my top five players for supports or for my support. Sorry. Right now, it's leaning towards Peekaboo because of how well he's been playing on KT, but it could be any of the. Well, before I say any of the supports at Worlds, it could be a select few of the supports at Worlds. Something either along the lines of Gorilla, Mako, PYL, Wolf, Peekaboo, possibly Yellow Star. Um, and I honestly don't have a clear pick, but for now, I'll go with Peekaboo. What do you think?
Hmm. I agree. To me, Peekaboo's the. It's just for me. It's the one of the reasons probably that I judge him so highly is if you look at KT roster pre-Peekaboo and you look at KT roster after Peekaboo, the
Yeah,
difference
definitely.
is so vast. I mean, if you look at the statistics, just when Peekaboo, no, sorry, when KT played with Fixer, their win percent was at 52%, and when Peekaboo came in, it was at 76%. So that is a massive increase in wins. Also, with Peekaboo, they had it was almost halved. Like their deaths per game were almost halved, and their first blood rate went up by 14%. And that speaks to sort of Peekaboo's early roaming
Yeah,
style.
and the vision
Peekaboo's an
control.
extremely strong early roamer. He loves to go up and down, and that's sort of because Peekaboo was with SKT for spring. SKT picked him up, and with SKT, he had games. Yeah, he had games where he'd roam, but the thing is, this season roaming, it's been so reliant on sort of synergizing with your jungler. And whereas on SKT, Peekaboo never managed to create that sort of synergy with Benki, on KT, he's developed absolutely amazing synergy with Score. And because of that, KT has been managing to get a lot of early leads because of the whole the roaming style of Peekaboo and how well their support and jungler function together. So because of that, I'd give it to Peekaboo. I think he's the best support player at Worlds. I mean, you have a lot of good choices because you have people like Mako, you have people like Gorilla, who's a legendary Thresh player, you have people like PYL, but also I think a lot of those players like Mako has Def, PYL has Imp.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Peekaboo has Arrow, and I think Arrow is a great AD carry. I
Without a
think
doubt.
he's a good AD carry, but he's not on the level of Imp and Deft as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of what makes Peekaboo look good is just his individual play, whereas a lot of what makes Mako and PYL look good as well is the play of Imp and Deft. So I'd give it to Peekaboo.
Okay. Are there any champion picks that stand out to you, to either of you, as far as champion pools go? Is that an important factor for choosing a support?
I think
Hmm.
Peekaboo's Thresh is really strong.
Okay.
Mm, not exactly. Support has kind of been stuck in this just same old for a while now. I'm hoping that maybe we can see some diversity in play, like maybe get a Tom Kench in there or something, because he synergizes well with the meta of teleport being extremely strong right now.
Mhm.
Hmm. I
So
think
I'd really love to see some good Tom Kench play.
I would more so look for Tom Kench in the top or jungle spot for myself. I don't necessarily like his supporting.
I don't know if his laning is strong enough, but
I don't think like he'll have enough items to actually be able to be effective in team fights as a support. Because a lot of it requires is it depends on what style
because he
you're
doesn't have
playing.
engage.
He does have the engage, but he is
Really?
more of a well if you have it's sort of reliant on picks, right? So if you ulti in and you have like a Kennen or an Annie or something, like this is where I'm looking towards
Yeah,
more
but
of
then
like
you're
a
relying.
jungler top.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
you're looking at a support, like he doesn't have the support engage by himself, and a lot of
Yeah.
it is if you can get onto the AD carry, you can auto Q eat them, throw them out, and then that's or that will that will help you win the team fight. So that's where I see him more as a top laner or a jungler as opposed to a support, but he could be played anywhere.
Yeah.
I think definitely as a jungler or a top laner because of the item and the amount of gold he gets, and especially like Devour Tom Kench is something that I've been thinking about a lot recently, because it is actually, if it's played correctly in the right situations, it is disgusting.
Well,
The defensive play from it is just really cool.
But I mean, just Devar is. I don't think Devar is gonna be that strong for competitive play.
Right,
they
no.
they nerfed Devour super hard.
Yeah, they did. Oh yeah, that as well. That as well.
But still, I think that if maybe not coming into this Worlds, okay, because I don't think that the teams will have enough experience with playing around it. But I think the defensive, if you play defensively and you get all of the defensive wards down, and you can get to the Devour stacks on Tom Kench, there are so many like options. Like for instance, if you can walk in, auto and Q, and the person will be stunned, and you can eat them instantly. Like if you do that on an AD carry in a team fight, and you can actually get onto them, it's over. But that's again from a jungler or a top lane standpoint. Like I think, and his laning is quite good top lane.
Yeah.
But I don't think I see Tom Kench as the premier support going into Worlds.
No, I mean right now, I mean the support meta is revolving a lot around sort of Alistair and Braum. I think they're the two stable. But you have a lot of Janna in there as well, and I mean Thresh has been someone who's always been a strong support pick.
I think Nami
But
could definitely come out at this Worlds with the changes to her ultimate.
yeah, could
Yeah.
be.
Yeah,
That
I
is
could
extremely
see
strong.
I could
But I
see
still
another
like.
Braum.
Yeah, I still like Alice. I think Alistair and Braum. I still like them a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Next up is, since we've been talking about the bottom lane, let's go into 80 carries. What do you guys think?
Okay, so this is gonna be an easy one.
Reckless number 1.
Young Turtle, baby.
Yes. Okay, continue, Tim.
But no, really, it's definitely got to be LGD's Imp.
Yeah.
Imp has shown to be one of the few ADCs that can remain consistent in his play. A lot of ADCs for me have been very inconsistent due to how weak the role is right now. So, but Imp is also one of the few AD carries that I feel like can do well even on his own. So many AD carries are very team comp reliant, but Imp continues to show that he can play well, especially on a non-meta pick like Twitch.
Yeah.
And even then, Twitch has been receiving several buffs, so I think Imp is in a very good position this world.
And when you say, yeah, and I just want to chime in where you say, yeah, Aim's been one of the guys, he's been consistent. But I think not only has he been consistent, when all the AD carries I've been talking about how this meta is so crap for AD carries and how AD carries are getting shit on by all these tanks. But Imp has just picked up his play. If you look at Spring Split, I think Deft was, even though Imp was really, really strong, I think Deft was the better AD carry in Spring Split. But now in Summer, I don't think there's a question. I think Imp is definitely the best AD carry in the world right now. And the thing is, yeah, he plays well. His champion pool is amazing. He has so many must bans. You can't let him have Kog'Maw. You can't let him have Kalista. But then when you ban those two away, what does he do? He picks Twitch, a guy who look at it. It's back from his like Samsung White days. Who plays Twitch nowadays? In plays Twitch. He just takes Twitch and carries
Piglet
straight
played
finals.
Twitch in the NA playoffs.
Yeah, how did that go?
Yeah, we don't
Thanks
talk
for the
about
free
that.
win, baby. But yeah, I just think Imp not only has he been really consistent, but he's been picking up, and he can solo carry games, and it's not even uncommon. I think he and the thing is, I before you think about sort of back in the Samsung White, Samsung Blue days, you always talked about Imp as the crazy strong laning AD carry back when it was Imp and Mata in a lane, and then you talked about Deft. Deft was Deft with Heart was Deft was more like he'd survive laning phase, and even if he'd get go behind in laning phase, then come late game he'd do so much damage. And when you look at from last world, you had games where Deft was doing ridiculous damage on Kog'Maw. But Imp nowadays, his laning is absolutely perfect. But coming to late game, coming to team fighting, mid game, he does everything else well as well. I don't think he has any weak points in this game right now.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm thinking in my head about possibly saying something extremely controversial and possibly offensive to.
Okay.
What?
What about Doublelift, guys? Don't
For
laugh.
best AD carry world.
Don't laugh, please.
For best AD carry world.
His ego is higher than his elo, dude.
No, but okay, no.
Realistically, let's think about it.
Yeah, realistically, Doublelift had a fantastic season, but like Imp has been shitting on LPL harder than what Doublelift has been shitting on it. Like I wouldn't consider Doublelift to be shitting on an A, and Imp's shitting on LPL. Imp is literally destroying LPL on his own. And
Yeah.
LPL as a region is a lot stronger than an A. I think
Yeah.
there's no question about that. So
Yeah, I would agree there. I was just thinking like
I'll give it to Double. He's better. He's one of the better ADCs, especially in NA.
I think I think he's one of the only Western AD carries that can compete on the world stage. But
Like he has really good positioning. His plays
and his laning especially.
when he was playing Vayne and Tristana, he was just destroying.
Mhm. Yeah.
that. So that's just something that came to mind as how would Doublelift enter this conversation? And how would Sneaky enter this conversation? I think both of them have been playing extremely well for Western ADs.
Yeah. both of them have been
However,
playing well.
I'm not saying that I think that either
Yeah.
of them is better than Imp, because I think that's pretty a strong argument, saying at least from the facts and how the season has played out, the summer split for every region. I think Imp is definitely, at least from results wise. But I think excluding past results going into this, I have Deft. Like I think he's very highly regarded in my mind. I still think now that I've actually thought about it a lot more, I am leaning towards Imp being the best. Here's the thing. I still think Imp and Deft are a cut above. I think just from my mind, Doublelift and Sneaky have been looking extremely well. Have been playing very well.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they're going to be coming in here and shitting on Imp or Def, but I'm interested to see how they will perform against them if they get the opportunity to, which I don't know if that's actually going to happen as far as Doublelift playing against them. But
my issue with C9 is how much cheese they do. Like go with picks like Brave and then Lemonation on Karma.
Yeah.
So I don't know. C9's bot is just too weird.
I mean, Lemon's shown he can play in Braum as well, but the thing is, if you look at sort of if you're talking about laning phase, I think Doublelift and Afro, I think they can match up against they can match up decently well with sort of the better bot lanes in the world. In terms of Sneaky Lemon, I think Sneaky is a really good AD carry, and I've always liked Sneaky as a player, but Sneaky Lemon right now, I think they could do okay. I don't think they'll be doing great in lane against those world class AD carries. So
I'd agree there.
Yeah.
I think that'll be something to look out for, because
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people really do underrate. Well, I mean, with reason. There is definitely a lot of evidence that has shown in the past, and looking at things that, yeah, LPL in Korea are definitely more competitive regions. They have a lot better players because, and especially their solo queue environments. They have They play more games as well. All this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just interested to see how Western ADs will perform against them, and how like will Reckless do well? Will he show up? Will he actually prove people? Everyone's Reckless not even top 4 AD EU. Like how will he do against them? And those are things that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not
One issue I have with AD carries right now is so many of the power picks are just so strong against AD carries. Like
Mhm.
I'm interested to see if any teams are going to continue to pick up Mordekaiser ADC.
I probably will.
I think it'll be played. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
he's
definitely
really
think
strong.
it'll be played.
It'll be interesting. That's something that changes up the meta. And
Yeah.
at least this is going a bit off topic here, but looking forward into next year with the release of Kindred and Mordekaiser being bottom lane, like how do the roles switch up, right?
Yeah.
Having a
Yeah, it's
marksman
gonna
in the
be-
jungle and having a Mordekaiser guy in the bot lane. Like how does that really switch things up? But that's sort of for another time.
Yeah.
So for 80 carries, I think it's a unanimous
Imp, yeah.
vote that Imp. And then I would Deft. I believe in you. Come back.
Yeah, that's really good. I think he's really the only one that can be up in the conversation with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then,
That's
Top lane.
wait, what about Prey? What do you guys think about Prey, actually, before we go on to the next topic?
Is he on?
Coup Tigers?
Oh, Coup.
GE Tigers?
I'm not very familiar with Coup.
I think inconsistent. Like, he has games where he looks good, but he also has games where he looks really
Yeah.
bad. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. And before
Not
anyone
up in the. Not up in the.
before anyone has a chance to bring up Bang on SKT, he's probably one of the weakest members on SKT's roster. In my eyes.
Why?
Well, he's just one of those 80 carries that never stood out to me. He never looked all that
I'd put.
compared to the rest of his team.
I'd put him.
Bang is so good.
I put
Bang
him
is
third
good.
behind.
I just
Faker and
like compared to the rest of SKT, I don't feel like he's up there for me.
Did you see
Whoa.
Did you see the Lucian game against CJ?
I did not.
He's so good.
Okay. Yeah, well, there you go. Go watch.
Okay.
Go watch
Just-
LCK and watch
think
Bang.
That was
Okay.
was it game 3 or game 4 against CJ? It was
Was the one we
basically
got, like, which
it was
Patrick?
Bang played Lucian. Bang played Lucian against CJ, and Faker was a mid Lulu, and it was played basically. It was sort of like a Jugger Lucian comp.
It was so
But
good.
it was no, that game was one of the, to me it was the hardest AD carry performance I've ever seen in my entire life.
I
It was
agree.
literally frontline Lucian all game, dodging every single skill shot. It was so filthy. It
Why
was
is it
one,
even? Why didn't I bring up Bang? Dude, Bang is a god. He's so good.
it was one of the best games I've ever seen. No, but he's good, but he's bad. Even Bang's not on the level of Imp and Deft. He's good. Like he's really good, but he's not on the level of Imp and Deft.
I think we'll see. Well, I
Yeah.
still think that Imp's probably the best, but
Yeah.
now that I'm thinking about like Bang, and especially over this year, how he's changed so much from his
Yeah, he's
previous
developed a lot.
performances. He played on like
think he's still
Najin.
not-
He played on all these teams, and he was just like so mediocre. And then coming into this year, like he's looked so strong through the spring split, through the summer split, and
I still think he's undefeated on Kalista.
he's a really good player, and I think it's really, I don't know,
Yeah.
I would consider him like at least he's up there. I'd probably
Yeah,
put him
he
above
is.
NAADs and Korea and EUEDs.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
by
yeah,
a
yeah,
lot.
for sure.
And then
for
even
sure.
even within his own region, he's probably like, who's the best AD carry in Korea right now? Could you even say that it's not Bang?
Yeah, you can make a case for Arrow, I think,
Okay.
and I feel like I'm forgetting someone. There definitely
I
is
know.
someone.
I feel like there's someone in my mind. But
Oh,
honestly,
OQ is really good
OQ,
actually.
okay.
OQ is
There you
actually
go.
really good.
he's extremely
yeah.
good as well.
But I think that's a conversation for another time as well.
Okay. Anyway, don't count Bang out. Bang's
Yeah.
good. All right. Top lane. Finally, we will go into the top lane. This is where I've had a lot of trouble deciding as well.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
With
It's especially hard to tell because we haven't seen any of the pros in this new top meta.
Yeah, exactly. Just and because the meta's gonna get flipped so hard because there's so many new picks, especially Darius and
Yeah.
Fiora.
Like old picks like Maokai and Rumble are out, and then these new
Why
fighter
not?
champs.
Why Makai?
I don't think
Maokai
he's completely out.
Yeah, I think
I don't
Maokai
think
is.
I don't think either are completely out. I
not
just think they're
completely out,
like
but after the nerfs received to their ultimates, they don't fit as much
uh
compared to newer champions.
I think
oh
the Rumble nerf
uh,
is a lot more potent than the Maokai nerf.
but what was the Rumble nerf?
They raised the cooldown on his
The
ult
cooldown. Yeah. Okay,
30
yeah.
seconds.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
regards to the AP item changes as well, that's something to consider.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, it's also tanks are in a weird position because a lot of tank items got shifted around a lot. And AP tanks are not nearly as effective right now due to new items like Titanic, Sterex, and Deadman's coming in.
I don't know if we will see that much Titanic Hydra.
Probably not.
It's extremely expensive.
Yeah.
Sterax, I think, has its niche. It's definitely got
I don't like Sterex very much.
some places that you can build it.
Yeah.
I think Deadman's Plate is definitely the item to come out here.
Yeah,
That's going to
definitely.
be a big
I
change.
agree.
And I don't know much about Warmog's Heart, but we'll
Well-
see that.
Warmogs is a lot worse.
Well, yes
Also,
and
like
no.
something like if you look at something like Randuin's changes, now the Randuin's
That's something to consider as well.
Yeah.
if you look at Randuin's reduces crit damage by 10%. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's
And if you look at someone like Ash, whose every single auto is counted as a crit.
Yeah. Or people like Yasuo who,
Yeah.
you know.
So I think that's going to be a big thing as well.
And probably one of the biggest nerfs for me was Aegis of the Legion, but yeah.
Yeah, that's massive.
So-
Hmm.
Who are some of the candidates you guys had for top lane?
Marin, Someday, Smeb,
Acorn.
Acorn, Flame.
I wish Flame could play. I mean,
Whoa! He can. He's on the roster. He's in there.
yeah, but I mean, like, look at them. Like I swear, LGD's coaching staff or whatever. It's like, wait, apparently they don't even have a coaching staff. But whatever, we'll get into this some other time.
What?
But it's like they just exist to troll Flame. They're like, come get this like sweet money and these sweet e-honeys, and come to China, and we're just gonna sit you on the bench, and we're gonna make Acorn play Cannon instead of you. And he's like, but I'm the best Cannon player in the world. Yeah, but we'll let Acorn play Cannon. Like,
I mean, to be fair, they're not gonna just put him in and if they really want to play Kennen so badly, like, it's not like they had Kennen specifically.
no,
in
but
mind
it's just
necessarily.
like, I don't know. I just whatever. But anyways, yeah, Acorn's really good.
Okay, so who is your pick then,
Um,
Oliver?
I had someday just because the meta right now, the top lane meta, it's like shifting a lot towards split pushing is going to be massive at Worlds,
Mhm.
and someday he's a strong laner, he's a strong team fighter. He was in OGN, he was top, he was first in kills, tied with Marin. He was second in assists, and he was third lowest in deaths.
Okay.
So he's a super consistent player. He has a good champion pool, and he's a really good player when you look at the split pushing style. So I just think like this world is perfectly suited for the kind of player he is.
In regards to what do you define as, what are the top things that you look for in a top laner? Like, what are your definitions for a good top laner? Is it laning phase? Is it teleports? Is it split pushing?
I think
Champion pool? What is it?
Well, I mean, obviously you have champion pool and you have laning, all the kind of, but to me, the most important thing is teleport usage. And it's like a lot of it is, yeah, teleport usage, and then like just overall playing the map smartly. But that's more, it's like all of TP usage and what I say, it's more of a team thing, but it's knowing how to split push, when to split push, when to put pressure on that side of map, knowing that your team is in a sort of position where if you're strong enough to split push and they send people to your lane, your team is ready on another
gonna
area of the
do
map
something, yeah.
to capitalize on taking other objectives. And I think that's sort of the key part. But with Someday, yeah, he does all of that well, and he's good individually, so he can create those leads in lane for himself. He doesn't necessarily need the help. If he goes 1v1 with the enemy top laner, he has a really good chance of creating leads for himself, which is really important. And yeah,
Where do
that's
you
what I
think he
appreciate.
lines up along the lines of Smeb or Marin or
I
these?
like Smeb, I like Marin, but
What about Zitai? Zitai.
I still think some days better. I
Okay.
like all of them. Like this tournament's stacked with top laners, and I don't think it's any surprise. I mean, the meta has been pretty top centric for quite a while.
Okay.
And so I don't think it's any surprise that most of the teams that made Worlds have really strong top laners. But yeah, I think it's really hard to call, and I think you can make a case for a lot of the teams. But if I had to choose, I pick Someday, I think.
Okay. Tim, what about you?
Okay, so this will be one of my picks. It's not LPL, and I actually give it to SKT Marin because from the from all the matches I remember seeing Marin play is that he is a really strong laner, even with and he also has a very diverse pool. But as you said with split pushing, and right now it's a fighter-centric meta, Marin has always been really good at fighting people in lane, and I think this meta fits him pretty well with the champion selections. I think if he can get a really strong split pushing duelist like Fiora or Gangplank, he'll be able to really show up for the team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, I think top lane right now, as far as the amount of top laners there are at Worlds who are of a strong caliber. In fact, I think if you do look at pretty much all the teams that have qualified for Worlds or have any contention in it, if you look at, for the most part, out of regions, the teams that have qualified for Worlds, for the most part, do not have a weak top laner, even within
Mm-hmm.
their own regions. If you look at the NA qualifiers, if you look at their top laners, Dyrus, Zion Spartan, and maybe the exclusion of Balls, you can see like they are probably the best top laners in the region aside from Impact, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're two, like there's not really anyone that stands out as too much better than them. If you look at EU, well, EU's a bit different. Huni obviously is extremely strong top laner within his own region. Soaz as well, and then H2K. I don't know. I think Cabochard is really good personally for a top laner in EU, who didn't make it to Worlds.
You don't have faith in Ottawamne?
He's not bad, even within his. I don't know. I think for the most part, within their own regions, looking at the top laners, there's not really any outstanding differences. So that's something that's important, obviously, if we look at the trends.
Mm-hmm.
Zitai, or Zitai? Yes. Okay.
Yes,
We've
Ty.
got Acorn, we've got Smeb, we've got Marin. There's so many good top laners, right? And so when we look at the new champions that are coming out, okay, all the juggernauts, Fiora and Gangplank being extremely prevalent in the picks, that's something that is going to be considered, right?
Uh-huh.
And so what I'm looking at right now for top lane is I want to see teams that can use teleport effectively and top laners that can always get the right teleport in to flank, because a lot of teams lack this. They can teleport
Especially
to a fight,
NA.
but they cannot they can't use it in a way that will actually position them in a correct manner to engage or receive proper peel for their team, right? Like they don't have the, well, what am I talking about?
Like the amount
Some
of
teams have that.
suicidal NA teleports this
Yeah,
season is
just
abysmal.
just look
Right.
at Kloss on Maokai.
Like that's a very important thing for me, as well as team fighting when they actually get there, and as well as lane phase. I don't want to see a top laner that's down 30 CS. I don't want to see top laners who handle the lane swap incorrectly and get absolutely behind because of that. Those are what I look for a lot. And so my top laners right now are Marin, Smeb, possibly. Whoopsie, where's my list? And Someday.
Yeah.
And then within LPL, there's Acorn, there's Flame, there's this Zitai. there's you know,
Mm-hmm.
before I butcher his name, let's just find the oh my goodness. There's Amazing J or Koro. There is
But Carl might not play Worlds. Amazing J is probably gonna play for ADG.
okay, so there's Amazing J. Those are what I look for in top laners. So I guess Someday as well. Someday, Marin, or Smeb are my three that I'm sort of choosing between at the moment.
I also like Marin because he's another one of those top laners that gels well with his jungler. He can really set up plays.
Yeah, and Marin's good with his TP usage. He's really good.
Yeah, that is what I look for in Marin. Out of any top laner that stands out as far as teleports go, it's Marin to me.
Mm-hmm.
With how he uses his boots. He will back and get home guard boots
Home guards
instead
early.
of a second or third item, and he will just teleport anywhere he wants and get plays. Now, a lot of to my memory, that was with Rumble or Gnar.
Yeah.
Now that Rumble is not going to be as such a strong pick,
that's
something to look at as well. But I definitely think that if Maokai is, if he's still being played, if he's still able to be effective, I think he can become extremely strong because Marin is a beast on Maokai and he's also very good at Gnar.
I know China like to play Hecarim a lot, so I'm curious if he'll come into play.
They still play him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Hecarim.
I'm gonna say how does Deadman's play affect Hecarim?
It's good on him.
It just gives him the extra AD.
It's kind of nice for the movement speed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
But as far as Hecarim goes, I don't think we'll be seeing him as such a power pick anymore.
Nah, I don't.
Because of the lack
I don't think
of control.
And AD Fizz is gone. Shen is not much in favor compared to the newer champions that are out as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we probably
it's hard to decide off of picks.
Yeah.
As far as champions go.
Yeah.
So we have not really seen enough of the new champions enough to really gauge skill level with them yet.
I think I have Someday and then possibly Marin. I don't see Smeb doesn't stand out to me as much as far as as much as those two do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't really see any LPL top laners who are like catching my eye as wow, this guy is way better than Someday or Marin. So those are my sort of picks. I'm sort of undecided because it really depends, but possibly Someday. Or potentially Someday, I think.
Yeah.
There's my little rant on top lane. Is there any comments you guys have to make on anything there, or do you have any comments for what your top laners would be? Like, any reasonings that you've missed out?
No, I think I got mine covered.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay. Before we go on, before we stop the top lane topic, how do you guys think Western top laners will perform against each other and against the Eastern teams? Like, where do you see Zion and Soaz and Dyrus stand against Smeb or Zitai or any of those players? And do you see any international wildcard teams or LMS teams that have any outstanding players? Like, for instance, we didn't talk much about Westor in the mid game category or things along those lines. Is there any players from outside the two favorites to win that stand out to you for top lane, or how do you think they'll go against each other?
In terms of the Western players, I think it's really it's only Huni that stands out majorly just because his TP usage is really good. He Most of the leads he gets is when he sort of he goes even in lane or maybe slightly ahead, maybe slightly behind, and he TP's bot lane, and they manage to win a fight bot lane. That's where Huni manages to generate a lot of pressure for his team. People like Zion's really strong at lane. He's a strong player, but again, his TP usage isn't on the level of Asian top laners or on the level of someone like Huni. In terms of someone like Dyrus, I am not too sure how he's gonna match up. I mean, his play has been like he picked up his play after MSI, but he's still been a
Yeah,
pretty weak player.
Dyrus has been letting himself tilt really badly lately,
Yeah,
and
I'm actually,
especially when his retirement likely soon.
yeah,
yeah.
that's something I was looking at because if I don't know how much that will actually affect like gameplay itself, but if any of you have looked at his like personal Tumblr or anything like those lines, it seems to have like that is like the things he's been saying on there about like, oh, I wish I was just retired already, like this is
Yeah, it seems like he's
it
really
seems like
just wants to get it
scrims
over
are
with.
not going well and things for TSM are not going well,
Yeah.
and
No.
that's worrisome for me. That is a worrying trend.
Yeah. I was also gonna say, like, outside of Fnatic, I have not heard much praise for the Western players as during their Korean boot camping.
Okay.
And I also heard Expeke is going to be retiring after the season too, so
We didn't really talk much about Origin at all, did we?
no, not really.
I don't even think we brought a single one of their players up aside from Niels.
Not really. Origin really. You mentioned Soaz, but that's
Yeah,
about
it's like what's worth mentioning.
yeah.
If you talk about the top players in Worlds, they don't really have anyone that fits the category.
Where do you
Yeah.
think? I want to see how this is sort of a little bit drifting, but since we're not talking about top players anymore, how do you think Amazing and Santorin are? Like in comparison, do you think that it's an upgrade?
Is Centaurian an upgrade from Amazing, or what do you mean?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, Santorin, he's been struggling a lot. He does not gank enough. His ganks don't. He doesn't apply nearly as much pressure as other players in the same role. He was
Yeah.
he was one of the big detrimenting players during their time at MSI.
I mean, if you look at the TSM Legends episode, like Centaurian himself said he has this mindset of sort of he thinks he might be able to gank a lane, but because the laner doesn't call for him to come, then he doesn't go. Like
How does that work though
I-
for solo queue?
I don't know, but like I mean, I think like you have to be proactive as a jungler. Like you have to be if your laners aren't communicating with you that oh I can come and gank my lane or whatever. Ask them. Be okay. Is top lane gank? Should I gank top lane right now? What's the situation?
Yeah,
But
that's
like
that's one of the big NA
because-
issues.
so
Communication.
yeah. To me, it seems like Centaurian. Whenever he's like he always feels this need to sort of power farm until like at least six. Even
Yeah.
on champs that no needs, even like in Italy, he'll
Yeah.
power farm until like six before he comes out of the jungle and really starts ganking.
Like
Um,
this was a big problem when he was playing Gragas, one of the freaking best early
Yeah.
gankers at the time.
like even though he has a strong ulti, doesn't mean you can't gank early on.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now that overall junglers are seeing nerfs and less overall power, I don't think people like Santorin or Amazing are going to be too beneficial on their team overall.
Mm.
Okay. I just had that thought in my mind because
Yeah.
that was something I was thinking about a little bit.
Mm.
All right. Well then, do you think that we did? Is that all right then, boys? Do you guys have you gotten your opinions
Yeah.
out?
Yeah, I think we did.
I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah.
Okay. To everyone watching, you can follow us on social media at youtube.com/Lambs of Legends, You can follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/knowledgeoflegends. You can follow myself on Twitter over here in the opposite corner because I didn't swap them around, at LawBeyondBirth. Tim Thissen in the middle, and League Silas over here for Oliver.
Awesome.
Thank you for watching, and any feedback or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. And we'll see you guys next time. See ya.
Latest.
Bye bye.